went down this path of not knowing how to take care of our bodies, and how we can really like hone in on the fact that we don't know how to take care of our bodies. Why are there millions of women dealing with the same issue? And on top of us dealing with the issue, we're getting told to put a momentary band-aid of prescriptions for birth control, get a surgery, get a hysterectomy to deal with the issues that we have caused on our body, because we have been taught from a very, very young age, since we started eating, how to throw off our hormones, and we deem this as normal because the way that we eat throws off our body's natural chemical balance, because we are taught to eat certain things that do not promote health when it comes to women. As women, we are not taught at a young age, before we start our cycle, when we start our cycle, how to eat for our cycle, how to understand when you should be syncing up with your cycle when it comes to eating vegetables, eating fruits, fasting, you actually being able to eat sugar and absorb, and not absorb sugar, but rather not have the repercussions of you consuming natural sugars. But then the times you shouldn't be eating sugar, the times that you have low estrogen, the times that you have high testosterone, like we're not taught these different things of how to promote and support our body through the different phases that we go through our 28-day cycle. And so this is the reason why we're sitting here dealing with irregular cycles. We're dealing with unexplained weight gain or weight fluctuation. We're dealing with fatigue, mood swings. We're dealing with painful menstrual cycles. We're dealing with PMS every single month. And so if you are dealing with these issues, or you know somebody who suffers from these issues, share the live for one. Two, if you suffer from these issues, we're going to be addressing these in this session, in this live, and we're going to be breaking down what is going on inside of your body and how we start supporting ourselves and reclaiming our hormonal balance. So if you are wanting a clear understanding and you are trying to figure out what's happening inside of your body, and more importantly, you want to know how to harness the power that your body has to heal itself naturally and to heal and to thrive in this space, this live is for you. My account is for you. If I'm on your FYP right now, hi, my name is Kendra. I am a plant-based lifestyle strategist, and I have lived a plant-based lifestyle for over 4.5 years, or about 4.5 years. It's almost a half. But I want you to understand that we are taught how to throw our body off, not how to heal, not how to support it, but how to manage with something and to keep a disease or an illness or some type of suffering alive in our body. And that's not how we're supposed to operate every single day. We're not daily renewing our mind, nor are we understanding the fact that we have a power of healing inside of our body, because the Bible itself talks about healing, and yet we don't address the fact that if it tells us that we can be healing vessels, and not just in the space that we have been programmed into thinking that all healing is witchcraft, you have to use this witchcraft, you have to use these rituals and etc., but understanding that naturally your body heals bones if you break it, right? Your body, even though you don't realize this, if your teeth are sitting there dealing with a cavity, they can heal themselves from a cavity. You break bones, you can heal the broken bone. Your skin heals itself when you cut. If you get a cut, a paper cut, etc. Your body heals itself. If you have acne scars, if you have any scars in general, your body naturally heals itself in a number of different ways. And we don't realize that your body can naturally heal its own hormones. It can heal itself to stay away from diseases. It can heal itself when you have an illness. When you get sick with the flu, are you stuck with flu for the rest of your life? No, you're not. So why can we not wrap our brain around the concept that if you have a disease, let's say you've been diagnosed with diabetes, you can heal from diabetes. You have high blood pressure. You don't have to go on high blood pressure medicine. You can heal from it. But instead, we're sitting here thinking that we have to manage it for the rest of our life, that we have to deal with it for the rest of our life. And that's just not reality. Our reality is, if you want to start supporting your body the way that you need to be and the way that you should be, you have to start having healing habits. You have to stop blocking your healing. And too many people are blocking their healing. So if you are in the chat right now and you are one of those people who are suffering, and you know that this is something that I can help my body be able to heal from, and I know that it hasn't been healing, and I'm trying to figure out how do I start healing, stay tuned to this live, tap the screen so I know that you are here and you are ready for us to move on to the first section of the silent epidemic that we're going through, and understanding the prevalence when it comes to PCOS, when it comes to fibroids and cysts and endometriosis, and breaking those down and how they're impacting our society as women currently right now. Tap the screen, let me know that you are here. drop a heart in the comments, whatever supports you right now, so that I know that you are here, you're hearing me loud and clear. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, because I do post all of my lives on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, drop a comment if you have any questions, obviously. And if you have any questions that you don't want to ask in public, that you're like, you know what, this is kind of personal, I want to get kind of detailed, you can always DM me. My DMs are always open. So let's talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome, okay? So PCOS. It affects about 5 to 10% women when they are in reproductive age. Nearly about 35 to 63% as they get older, or well, not as they get older, but as they sit there and they manage, or they keep dealing with the same symptoms over and over again, they are dealing with issues of being obese. Or no, excuse me. I said that was a wrong statistic. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Let me go back. Stop. My dog is hard-headed today, y'all. About 35 to 63% of these women that are dealing with PCOS are obese. They're overweight. They're dealing with weight fluctuation. And so they're having issues with their weight, which connection between the two, PCOS and that weight fluctuation, are going to go hand in hand. When you are overweight, you develop things like insulin resistance, diabetes, right? And so when you are sitting here realizing that these women are dealing with fibroids, and this is the statistic that I was just spitting, let me go back to that because I had gotten ahead of myself. Majority of women, by the time, I think it's between 50 to 70, maybe even all the way up to 80% of women, by the time that they hit the age of menopause, are going to be dealing with fibroids or cysts. And so when you wrap your brain around the fact that when women are in their reproductive age, they're already dealing with this, and it's getting worse as you look at statistics, but then we're not addressing the issue the way that we should be, when are we going to wrap our brain around the fact that, okay, our reproductive health is not being supported? Why is it not being supported? When you are dealing with fibroids, for instance, and this is a non-cancerous growth that happens inside of our reproductive system, it affects about 70% of women by the age that they are 50. And so when you look at that, the fact that there's a higher prevalence of women that are African American, we have to look at the habits that we have when it comes to the foods that we eat. We eat a whole bunch of inflammatory foods. We eat a whole bunch of sugary foods. And by the time that you are 50, all of those things are going to catch up to you. We are not taught how to take care of our body. We're not taught how to sync with our cycle. We're not taught how to eat for our cycle. And so when we sit here and we get to the age that we're supposed to be hitting menopause, or we're having that fluctuation of hormones because we have premenopausal symptoms, it's going to have a higher prevalence in our lives because we have not been supporting ourselves for 40 years plus. And then on top of that, now we're going through a stage where our body is already having fluctuations of imbalances. And so then that's also causing a wreak havoc of fight or flight mode from the inflammation, but also from the hormones being up and down, trying to figure out what's going on and trying to rebalance themselves. Same thing with cysts. When you have ovarian cysts, for instance, and you're sitting there, which they're benign also as well, and they don't resolve themselves on their own when you're not helping them heal, this can cause pain. This can cause complications when it comes to you either trying to have children or give birth. It can cause complications also with, irregular cycles. It's going to affect you if you are not, you're eating an overload of sugar and you're not supporting your womb. If you don't know how to support your womb, it's more likely than not, if you have painful menstrual cycles, if you're dealing with PMS, if you're dealing with fatigue every single month, if you're dealing with a number of different issues around your whole 28-day cycle, not just when you're menstruating, you probably have some type of cyst, or you are having symptoms to show you that you have an overloaded inflammation, which is going to lead you to developing a fibroid or a cyst. And too many women are not realizing that because we think that PMS is normal. We think that hormone fluctuation is normal. We think that we can deal with it and manage it with birth control. And that's not possible because birth control throws off your body's chemical balance and your hormones naturally, your natural hormones itself. And then the fact that you're not dealing with how did you get here? What is the root cause of the problem? And so when you're dealing with fibroids, cysts, you're dealing with PCOS, when you're dealing with endometriosis, you have to really look at the whole full picture and address, how did I get here? What was the root cause of this? And if you don't understand, okay, what do you mean by the root cause? What have you done? What are the foods that you eat? What are the products that you use? Do you use bleach? Do you use Lysol in your home? Do you spray fragrances like perfumes on your body that are toxic because they're not natural, actual fragrances that come from essential oils, but they're a mixture of 100 to 1,000 of chemicals that are put inside of a fragrance to call it a perfume? Are you sitting here using chemicals that are considered medications, prescriptions? Endometriosis itself is affecting approximately about 10% of women globally, which is millions of women. And so this is leading you to having, when you have endo, you're having chronic pains, you're having fertility issues. And what causes chronic pain? Chronic inflammation. We're not realizing that when you are in an inflamed state, your body's in a panic mode. It's in fight or flight mode. And so when you have an overload of pain, PMS, you're dealing with mental fatigue, fog, all etc., etc. When it comes to your brain being balanced, your gut balance is off, you have IBS, it's a sign to let you know that you have an overload of inflammation. So what are you doing about this inflammation besides just going, oh, I drink me some lemon tea and ginger tea every single morning? That's not going to help you. If you still eat the same crappy foods, if you still take the medications, if you still use the toxic chemicals in your home. So let's talk about the interconnectedness of our organs and how this is being affected during this process of us not taking care of our womb. When you are dealing with issues in the liver, and it's responsible for metabolizing your hormones, it's responsible for detoxifying your body, it's supposed to support your body's systems of getting rid of toxins, being able to release them. But when you have an overload, you are causing it to sit here and overwork, which it can't do its job when it's being overworked every single day, because you have an overload of toxins from the foods that you eat, the products that you use, the chemicals in your home. And then on top of that, you decide, let me put some inflammatory perfume on my body. I know, let me take a birth control that throws off my hormones, which is full of toxins as well. And so your liver is working, trying to compensate and figure out what the heck is going on. And then you add in more and more. Thank you guys for liking up the live. I really appreciate it. And so when it's overloaded and overburdened the way the majority of society's livers are, especially women, it causes hormonal imbalances. And so we're sitting here trying to figure out, how did I become hormonally imbalanced? When did this happen? This makes no sense to me. I eat and I use diet culture. I work out. Why am I still dealing with these issues? Because you were overloaded when it comes to supporting your body getting rid of toxins. So now your organs are working overtime. So let's talk about, now that the liver is being damaged, let's talk about how the pancreas is being damaged as well. So your pancreas is going to be regulating your blood sugar. This is through insulin production. Your body naturally produces its own insulin, right? So this insulin resistance causes a strain on your pancreas because you're not supporting your insulin when you eat food and your insulin spikes. You're not supporting it with stabilizers because you don't eat correctly. So now you have your liver sitting here working overtime, and then you have your pancreas sitting here trying to overcompensate to rebalance that insulin that's going inside of your body to make natural insulin. So then you have an overload of insulin production, which is increasing your blood sugar levels, which is going to lead you down a path of having insulin resistance, and then it's going to lead you to having diabetes. So now that your liver and your pancreas, it's already being damaged, and it's just because you have not balanced your hormones and understand how to. Now let's talk about what's going on inside of the kidneys. Now that your liver and your pancreas are working overtime and overcompensating and they're in fight or flight mode, what's happening inside the kidneys? The kidneys are your filter for your blood. We all know this, but if you don't know this and this is new information for you, your kidneys are the filter for your blood. When you have an overload of sugar inside of your body, this is going to cause your blood to be coated with sugar, because over time, when your body cannot expel the toxins, use the sugar to convert it into energy, so then your liver gets overloaded with sugar, your pancreas is overloaded because it's trying to compensate for this insulin, so it gives the extra insulin that it cannot use and cannot be converted to the liver. Then it's like, oh my goodness, I can't do anything with this, so then it starts to leak. Then it goes to your bloodstream. Now your blood cells are literally coated with sugar. This is going to cause blocks. This is how you get blood clots. This is how then you start to develop fatty liver. This is how you sit here and develop the issues when you have diabetes of, oh my goodness, this person got a cut, it got infected. Now they have to cut off their leg, their arm. Now they can't see because they lost their eyesight. Now they can't hear because they lost their hearing. It's not because, oh, everything is shutting down. It's because you're so heavily coated with sugar on the inside that now there are blood clots. Now your eyes are being coated with sugar. Now your brain is starting to literally have leaks inside of your brain barrier. You're starting to have leaks inside of your eardrum. So now your eardrum is coated with sugar, because that's what happens. We know what happens when you put sugar in water. We know what happens. What happens to the sugar? If you put a little bit of water on sugar, it clumps, right? So sugar gets a little wet, it clumps. We know this. It doesn't just dissolve in the water. It doesn't just go away. Obviously, if it's hot water, it's going to dissolve when you mix it up. But when you just expose sugar to liquids and it's just like a little drop, let's say you have a whole bunch of sugar, a little drop, it clumps, right? So think about what it's doing inside of your body when you expose this sugar to your blood, because it cannot be filtered out. Your liver and your pancreas are already doing what it can. So then now you're sitting here also having hormonal imbalances because your body is literally in panic mode and it's going, girl, you're going to have to figure something out. And so then it's sitting here going, well, I can't help unless you help me. And so it's like, I have to give you signs, so let me panic. Let me show you how you're literally throwing me off. We have to panic. So then now we're sitting here dealing with kidney dysfunction, pancreas dysfunction, liver dysfunction. And then on top of that, now you're having anxiety. Now you're having panic attacks. Now you're sitting here like, oh my goodness, I can't remember anything. Because you are throwing off your body's natural balances to the point now where there's complete dysfunction and imbalance. And when your kidneys are off the way that they are, now you are having fluid retention, which causes more excess weight. And then you're going to have other issues inside the body because you need blood to live. So then now clogged arteries, you're going to have heart problems. When you have a woman, because we're talking to women, and you're menstruating because you know you're bleeding, you're going to have issues like, oh, I'm anemic. Oh, I'm iron deficient. Put two and two together and make the connections, y'all, because we're not doing ourselves a service by sitting here thinking that this medical industry and society is supporting our womb, because we even know that medical research is not based off the woman's body, but rather taken from men's studies and then put on the women from the old studies that they still use to this day, because they haven't revamped and started doing tests on women to be like, oh, we can disprove this, because at the end of the day, we're not doing ourselves a service to be like, hold up, this is not working. They just started now kind of putting males on birth control. And you see how quickly when they were doing the trials of male birth control, how it was throwing off male hormones. So all the men were like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. Because I was on the side of TikTok where the men that were doing trials were talking about them doing hormone trials for the birth control because they were focusing on men's hormones. They don't focus on women's hormones when they do birth control. They just make sure, can you get pregnant or not? That's it. Men's birth control was focused in on, are you still producing what you need to get the woman pregnant, as well as how are your hormones. The men realized it was throwing off their hormones and they stopped doing the study. I don't know if they stopped the studies completely, but the men were quitting. So when are you going to wrap your brain around the fact that they don't care about your hormonal health? They throw it off. And then the men know and they understand that when their hormones are thrown off, you shouldn't keep doing this. But yet we sit here and we're like, well, this is something that I have to do. If I want to make him happy, if I want to make myself happy, if I want to be able to live my life, I have to do something, and something has to give. Why is your health the one thing that you have to compromise against when it comes to you being happy? That's the internal question that you have to ask. Why does your health have to suffer in order for you to live your life and be happy? It makes no sense. Because you're not going to be happy in the end when you're sitting there spending thousands of dollars to fix the issue you've caused, had to have a surgery. Because I know a lot of y'all in here right now, and I'm not saying this to jump on you, but for a realization, you'll throw and put down everything and throw everything away to help somebody else fix a problem for them. But when something happens for you, do you throw everything out of the way and go, you know what, let me fix this problem for myself first? Because I can say, as a woman who used to be in the space of thinking that this is something that I had to do for my hormones and take a birth control or sit here and suffer and take some pain pill every single month, I wasn't putting my health on the front line. I was putting it on the back burner. And a lot of you do that because you have career to worry about. You have family to worry about. You have animals. You have a significant other, etc., etc. And so you're sitting here thinking like, I can't manage everything. And so you put yourself last. But when you start putting yourself first, which is a selfless act, because you have to treat yourself good in order for you to treat others good as well. When you start putting yourself on the front line, see how everything else becomes easier. Because I can promise you, the life that you're living is not ease when you're putting everybody else at first. But when you start putting yourself first, everything else becomes easier. Because not only are you supporting and taking care of your health, but other people are starting to see that, oh, you take care of yourself. If you have kids, your kids are going to go, you know what? I see that and I love that example. So when they feel that something is off, they're going to go refer back to, you know what? My mom took care of her reproductive health. She healed herself in this way. So if I'm dealing with a hormone imbalance, I know I can heal. I know I can support my body. But too many of y'all are stuck in this space of thinking that you have to manage. You have to just keep doing what you do. And a lot of y'all also don't make the connection of the fact that your gut and your brain are directly connected. So I'm talking to Little Miss, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm having panic attacks. Oh my goodness, I have to take my antidepressant because if not, I'm literally going to be sitting here not being able to make it. I have no dopamine stimulation, so I have to take an X, Y, and Z pill. You have to look at your gut health because majority of society is not realizing that your gut and your literally science refers to your gut as your second brain. Because your gut balance, your gut pH has to be at a certain level for everything inside of your body to be digested and absorbed and to be used correctly if it can be, if you're giving it what it needs. And then also to be in a space to not throw off your brain. Your brain is in control of your hormones. So when are we going to put two and two together and realize that we are completely thrown off and we have no balance? Thank you guys for the likes. I really appreciate it. So your gut directly influences your health when it comes your mental health and your well-being. And so an imbalanced gut is going to lead you to having mood disorders and cognitive challenges. Little Miss, I can't remember anything. I have to write everything down, which is no problem with you writing things down. But why can't you remember? Somebody tells you something and then you're sitting there and you turn around and you're like, you didn't tell me that. And they're like, I told you literally an hour ago. Why can't you remember? So let's talk about the role of blood sugar in our hormonal health. This is section 3 of our live for today. So early education, many of us are not taught the importance of balancing our blood sugar and gaining stabilizers when it comes to the foods that we eat. And so this leads us to having diet culture mindset, habits that disrupt our hormone balance, and thinking that diet culture is going to get us back to the space of healing. It's going to help us because we're momentarily doing keto or momentarily doing paleo. And this is going to help me be able to rebalance my hormones and support my body. This is what it teaches you early education. Do your food pyramid, do your my plate. You should have 2 sources of dairy. You should have meat as your main category. You should also be consuming a little bit of processed foods. Not a lot, but okay, it's a little. But they don't tell you, you need to know how to read your labels. They tell you to count calories. But they don't tell you, read your labels. Understand what a toxic ingredient is. Do you understand how meat is inflammatory? And you shouldn't be consuming meat if you have an overload of inflammation already and you want a healthy body. Because let's be honest, we love to talk about how it is in the Bible, it's sanctified. People in the Bible eat meat. But do you realize that when people were talking about it in the biblical sense, they weren't eating meat every day, let alone for multiple meals a day? Majority of them were eating it during a time of celebration or sacrifice. That's when it was referred to. We eat meat every single meal, every single day, Monday through Sunday. And then we sit here and wonder why we're inflamed. We eat fast food. We have a culture of just quick, fast. I have to get this quickly. Eating restaurants, eating out. It's not the same. I was talking to a relative that was talking about how the fact that like this food used to be healthy. We ate this and et cetera, et cetera. And then they were sitting there talking about that and then go, well, you know, we used to eat this, and I brought up the fact, well, do you realize how they've changed the ingredients of food completely? Do you understand that? And then they're sitting there like, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're going back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, they've changed food. Like, you don't read your labels? Like, I know you don't, but it's like a question that you need to answer yourself. You don't read your labels. You have all of this to say about how you should eat this. This is what we used to do. And you haven't tuned into the fact that you should still be reading your labels. I still know the products that I use regularly, and I still read the labels to make sure they haven't changed anything, because people will go 20 plus years of eating the same exact thing and not realize that 15 years ago they started adding soy, inflammatory sugar, etc., inside of the food. And so they're sitting there looking, and they're trying to figure out how in the world that they start eating all this food and that's making them toxic and terrible. Meat quality is not the same. Snacks are not the same. Dairy has been the same since they started using pasteurized milk. And I'm letting you know now, the only reason why they started marketing and selling milk to people is because they needed compensation for the dairy farmers that they promised were going to get profit after the World War was over, and they had no more profit margins. That's the only reason why they started marketing dairy to you. And how you know this is because the doctors that backed the dairy movement came out and said, yeah, we were paid to promote this. We were paid to sign off on this. And then now they're like, oh, dairy is actually completely inflammatory and not good for you. And how now they're trying to throw in your face that you should be consuming unpasteurized milk. These doctors are coming back and telling you, yeah, we were paid. So why would I be consuming a milk from an animal, from a cow, especially since when you look at biblical terms, it talks about the fact that the only milk we should be consuming is goat. So why are we so heavily trained in our brain to consume a cow's milk? It's just a thought. So another issue that plays a role in our blood sugar and our hormonal health is understanding that insulin resistance is a condition where our cells become less responsive to insulin. And so this is going to lead us to having those elevated blood sugar levels, and then it's going to increase its storage inside of our fat cells. Because if you do not know this, when you have an overload of toxins like sugar is going to do, you are going to have an increase of your fat storage, because it's going to store inside of your fat cells because it has nowhere else to go. This is how it tries to protect your vital organs. So it's like, okay, I'm going to put it in your fat cells. I'm going to put it in your face. I'm going to put it in your arms. I'm going to put it in your thighs. I'm going to put it in your lower belly. So when it puts it in your lower belly, it goes, if you're a woman, you're going to have reproductive issues. You're going to have painful menstrual cycles. Maybe that'll tune them in. Because if you do not know this, your menstrual cycle is a direct tie to your health, to let you know how healthy you are, what you've been doing throughout the month. It is literally like your recap. How you have during your job, you have your evaluations every single 6 months, 12 months, however often y'all do it, 3 months, I don't know. Every single month, your body is giving you an evaluation of how you've done this month, how you did the past month. Because if you don't know, your past history is also going to affect your current cycle, okay? It's giving you a recap to let you know what you've been doing, if it's been working, if it's not. If you're in pain, it's not working. That's all I have to say. If you're in pain, it's not working. So when you are in an insulin resistant state, this is directly linked, and this is science backing. It's linked to PCOS and hormonal disorders. So when are you going to tune into the fact that your inflammatory lifestyle is keeping you in this space? And chronic high blood sugar promotes inflammation. And so this is going to literally feed diseases inside of your body. And this is causing hormonal imbalances. So the connection between inflammation and overall, it's going to affect your menstrual health. This is the reason why when you have an overload of inflammation, your menstrual cycle is so painful, it's irregular. You're dealing with all these different issues of PMS beforehand. So you're sitting there trying to figure out, why am I so cranky during this phase of my cycle? And if you don't know what the phase is called, you don't know how to sync with your cycle, and you need to learn how to. So you're sitting there like, I'm just so angry, I'm so upset, this is always how it is, I'm going to having cramps, etc. But you're not realizing that the reason why you're so angry and the reason why you're so irritable is not because, oh, you PMS happens to everybody, because I'm letting you know now, PMS does not happen to me anymore. PMS is a sign to let you know that you already have an overload of inflammation. Your cycle is trying to start its production of its flow, and you need to stop what you're doing and you need to cleanse, because your menstrual cycle is going to be painful if you don't. And I'm speaking as somebody who used to have a painful menstrual cycle every single month. I'm letting you know, if you have PMS symptoms, it is a precursor to let you know your cycle is about to be terrible. The time that you were bleeding is about to be terrible. And so when you address the inflammation that's going on, it's going to alleviate that discomfort during your, it's going to help alleviate rather, because you're still going to be uncomfortable. Let's be honest. You are going through a function of your body releasing, but it's not going to be painful. It's not going to have you sitting here dealing with all these different cramps and you having this PMS symptoms beforehand. It's going to help you be able to get through this time and to be able to function during. And so when you're sitting here dealing with the issues of overload of toxins, which is going to feed this inflammatory state, this inflammation. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to hang up this phone call and I don't know what it was exactly. I don't know what's going on with it. But when you have this overloaded inflammation, because I don't know what that was. I lost my train of thought, y'all. Hold on. Let me get back on. Let me get back on it. Inflammation. Let me see what was the last point. Hold on. I'm reading my notes, by the way, because I forget things when I'm talking. So, like, I have to look through my notes. So, when you have an overload of toxins, the common culprits are your high sugar intake of non-natural sugars. High in sugar intake anyway is not good, but when you have non-natural sugars and then you overeat non-natural sugars, this is going to cause an insulin spike in your insulin levels because you don't have any stabilizers. You're not eating healthy natural sugars, and so this is leading you to have fat storage and hormonal disruption. Another thing that's going to cause your overload of toxins inside of your body is processed meats and meat in general, but specifically red meat and processed meats, as well as chicken. So honestly, all of it, because really, let's break it down. I'm going to break this down for you. I usually break this down in my program more, as well as my starting to live a plant-based lifestyle masterclass. But I'm going to break this down for you and give you a quick little rundown so you can understand for the people that are questioning why they should stop eating meat. We all know, because they talked about it, I think, if you don't know, I'm going to break this down. They talked about it in 2020, I think, 2022, 2021, something. One of those years. They talked about how it has been linked and named a carcinogen. Processed meats, deli meats, and red meats has been named and linked to being a carcinogen. They cause inflammatory issues inside the body, because obviously processed meat is a processed food, and then red meat has been linked because it causes things like diabetes, it causes issue with high blood pressure, it causes heart disease. Chicken itself is linked to diabetes because chicken feeds insulin resistance. Fish, seafood in general, is going to feed you an overload of microplastics and toxins because our ocean is tainted and it's not safe. So this is what I mean by the quality of meat is not the same. How we used to talk about, our parents talk about, our generations before us talk about how back in the day I used to eat this meat and there's no problem with meat and this is the reason why, and how the Vikings eat meat, etc., because I've heard it all. And I'm like, okay, but you do realize that was a century plus ago. And so now our ocean is tainted. They literally dump bioweapons in our ocean. We dump our waste from the toilets in our oceans. They dump trash in our oceans. They're finding sea life with cancer. Lions, whales, sea lions, whales. I don't know if they found dolphins, but sea life are washing themselves up on the shore. And there are plenty of cases for you to go back and reference if you're like, is it really, the ocean is panicking. Sea life are breaching themselves. Deep water fish are putting themselves on the sand to unalive themselves. That's a panic. If animals are acting outside of their norm, they're panicking. So you have to wrap your brain around what's happening. Dairy products are another thing that are going to cause you to have hormonal imbalances and overloaded inflammation as well, because some dairy has antibiotics in it. Majority of it does. Let's really break it down. But I've talked about this before. If you're not giving an animal antibiotics and you know that diseases run, we all know that we have to have antibiotics. As a person, as an animal, infection runs. If you give inflammation inside of your body, you give these toxins something to feed off of, you're going to have an infection. So we all know that you should have antibiotics, whether you're taking a prescription, which you shouldn't be doing, or a medication, or you're using it from food correctly. They don't give cows natural food to give them antibiotics. So what are they doing? They're feeding them antibiotics. So there is no antibiotic-free milk. There is no antibiotic-free animal unless they have an infection. So it's either they have an antibiotic or they have an infection. So you're eating either an infectious animal or an animal full of antibiotics. Take your pickings. And on top of that, that doesn't defeat the fact that they still have parasites. So this is going to affect your endocrine system, which, aka, dairy is an endocrine disruptor. We love to talk about endocrine disruptors now because we're talking about, oh, this Lysol has an endocrine disruptor, etc., etc. Did you know that your dairy does as well? So when you are sitting here eating processed snacks, this is also going to feed the inflammation, which is going to throw off your hormones. And so typically, your snacks are going to be having an overload of trans fats. They're going to have an overload of unhealthy sugars as well as salts to promote your brain's function and dopamine to say, this is good. Give me more. I want to eat more. I love this. And so this is going to promote an inflammatory lifestyle. So what do we do about this? How do we start changing our lifestyle? How do we start changing from diet culture and getting to the space of understanding how to support our lifestyle? Stop choosing dairy. Stop choosing this inflammatory meat and start to realize that you have to change your lifestyle when it comes to the foods that you eat, and it's not a diet. So start eating real whole foods rich with fiber, healthy proteins that can come and will come from fruits and vegetables. Support your body with healthy fats, natural foods. Leafy greens, berries, nuts, seeds. They promote supporting your hormonal health, releasing that inflammation, and get you to the space that you need to be in to start supporting your body completely. Start getting more active. You don't have to sit here and be a bodybuilder and work out in the gym 8 days a week and sit here and overwork yourself. Start doing little movements. Start doing weight training, doing body weight training. Start just doing, okay, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes. I'm going to walk for 15 minutes to get myself started. I'm going to start just sitting here, moving my arms and moving my system, because if you don't know the difference between stagnant movement versus your active movements, you need to get it together, okay? Understand that if activities like you stretching, walking, just doing these simple things are beneficial and they get you kind of moving and started into the space of taking care of yourself when it comes to physically being active. You don't have to be the most active sweating person in the gym to still be taking care of your body. And a lot of people are misled by this culture of watching these people who work out 8 times a week, which is not even 8 days in the week if y'all didn't peep that. And I'm going to keep saying 8 days because they're in the gym every day. They're weight training every day. They're working out hard. They're running miles. That's not your truth, and that's okay. That's not my truth, and I love it for myself. I have lost over 40 pounds without having to sit here and get in the gym, let alone have to overwork myself and sweat out my hair every single day. Okay? It's the matter of knowing what supports you, what makes you feel comfortable, what do you like doing. Getting on YouTube and watching a workout and doing a workout might be something that you enjoy. I started doing that in 2020, and it's something that I still do to this day, because not only does it give me inspiration when I don't know what to do, but it also keeps me motivated to do a 15-minute workout without having to think about the fact that, oh my goodness, I've been working out for 15 minutes, because all I have to do is work out to the video. I'm not worried about, oh, this is going to be a 30-minute workout, because it's 30 minutes of me watching this video of what I need to do and not having to sit here and be like, okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, what is going to be able to be the most efficient? I want to lose weight in my upper body. What am I supposed to do? Stop the guessing game. A lot of y'all are playing this guessing game and you're losing. Like, let's be honest. When you take a test and you don't study for it, but you play the whole guessing game, the entire test, do you come out of there feeling confident? When you go into a test, not studying, not doing anything, and then you sit there and you turn around and you're like, you know what, I'm going to play this guessing game and I'm going to try to guess. Do you feel confident after you leave that test? Regardless if it's multiple choice, fill in the blank. And then when you get the results back, do you feel confident in the results that you're going to get back? No, you don't. So why do you think you can go into any space, whether it's you eating healthier, being active, and play a guessing game and think it's going to work? So this is why I mean by when I say y'all need to have a strategy and y'all don't have it and you're lacking it. So then you wonder why when you do this diet of you thinking Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers is going to support you, and then you flip back and you're like, oh my goodness, it didn't work. I don't know. And then you go back to your old habits. It's because you didn't have a plan. You didn't study. You didn't get yourself all the things that you needed to do and needed to know. Because I used to say this when I was in school and my mom would ask me like, why did you do bad on this test? I'm not understanding because I saw you studying. I didn't know what I didn't know until I hit the test. And I'm going to say that again for the people who it went over their head. You don't know what you don't know until you get to the test. So why are you sitting here trying to play a guessing game without a study guide, without the book, without etc. And you're trying to play this guessing game of, oh, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. Let me put this in here. Let me try this. You didn't study. You didn't do any preparation. You didn't even buy the book. So how are you expecting you to have proper results in the end if you didn't do any work? It makes no sense. So that's why I say you have to wrap your brain around the fact that you don't know what you're doing. You can assume, but when you get to the test and you're completely confused, it's because you had that assumption mindset of thinking you know everything. The problem is you have no strategy. You have no actual foolproof system, no fail-proof system. So the same way that little old me was sitting there saying, well, you don't know what you don't know until you get to the test. That's the same way y'all look in the gym when you're trying to figure out in a week or two how you're not seeing any results. Your back is hurting. Your knees are hurting. Why in the world you're sitting there doing a Jenny Craig, a Weight Watchers? You're doing salads every single day and you hate it and you're hungry. Who told you to do that? Who told you to do that? You had your assumptions. You had your guesses. Thank you for the follows and the likes. So start taking the stress away. We already have enough stress going on inside of our life when it comes to the things that we have going on with work, family, significant other, if you have one, animals, if you have one, children, if you have, etc., etc. Take the stress away from the issue. Start supporting your stress management in a healthy way outside of thinking that, oh, I'm going to eat this sugary snack and I'm going to go to bed and tomorrow it'll be okay. Support yourself in stress management as well as having correct sleep habits, because a lot of y'all are not realizing you're not supposed to be eating a sugary snack before you go to bed. It's more than just, oh, you shouldn't eat right before you go to bed because your digestive system is going to be off. Do you realize that that's the reason why you can't sleep? You wake up and go to the bathroom multiple times a night. You're sitting there suffering throughout the night. You wake up and you have no energy. It's because when you eat sugar before you go to bed, directly before you go to bed, you have no stabilizer before you go to bed. So that now your body the whole entire night is trying to stay alive because you didn't give it anything to stabilize to start repairing your system like it's supposed to do when you're asleep. But instead, it's sitting here trying to stay alive and to expel this overload of sugar because your sugar has been spiked right before you try to go to sleep. Just a tidbit for the people that are in the chat. So let's talk about the last section of our lives today before I get off and start managing and doing what I need to do. The power of knowledge and action. So understanding that this is a delicate dance that we are doing with our hormones when you have to really understand how to start taking action. Because there is one slight thing when you are in this healing journey that can throw you back, not completely throw you all the way back where you're going to have imbalances, but it can throw you back in the space if you are a woman dealing with painful menstrual cycles, that can throw you back in that pain. I had a trial and error process of me when I was first going plant-based because I didn't have anybody that was teaching me these strategies and these methods that I'm teaching you, okay? And so when I was sitting there dealing with all these different issues and trying to figure out what was going on, how to do it, and like I said, had no study guide, had no map, had no book, was going in playing the guessing games, it was a struggle. And so the choices that I had were impacting me and putting me in a space that was not balancing my hormones because I was still eating processed foods. I was still sitting here thinking that they were going to support me. And so how I started to support myself, well, thank you for the follow. I'm so happy that you were here. So when I started to support myself in gaining that balance back, the first thing that I did was realize that in order for me to reclaim my health, I have to get out of the mindset of diet culture. I can't momentarily take care of my body and then eat a bunch of crap and then think that I'm going to do a diet again for another week and then eat like crap for another 6 months. That's not possible. I start to sync with my cycle and understand that the different phases require different foods. There are times that it's okay for you to fast as a woman because it's going to be the most appropriate time, versus the times that you need to sit here and eat more foods, eat more nutrients, the times you should be doing a fruit and vegetable cleanse. The times that you can actually eat sugar and it not affect your hormones, so that it doesn't affect you and cause different issues of pain, fatigue, you having these different issues with your sleep. You have to realize that your body is designed to heal itself, but if you're not helping it heal, you're blocking your healing, so that's an issue. Step towards a space of taking control of your health and provide the right environment through the nutrition you give yourself, through the movement that you should be having, and being mindful. Being in the space of taking care of your stress, taking care of your body, so that you can restore your body's harmony. So, if you are ready to start taking control of your health, before I get off, I would love to take any questions that you guys have. How you start transforming your health is realizing that you need a strategy, realize that you need structure, you need the education and the knowledge. I am an expert in the space that I live in of being plant-based. I cannot teach you how to eat healthy and eat meats and eat dairy and processed foods. I have not seen it work. I have seen plenty of people that talk about how they're in the gym, they're active, they do all a number of different things, they've lost weight and etc. And then they come back and they're still talking about how they're inflammatory. They come back and they still talk about how they're having issues with their menstrual cycle. And I can tell you, if you are dealing with a number of different issues with weight fluctuation, painful menstrual cycles, fatigue, just in general, a number of different issues caused by inflammation, diseases, etc., you have to stop feeding into the system that has poisoned you and programmed you to keep yourself sick. How you start helping your body heal is to understand how to take care of your body from a space of using natural sources, not chemicals, not diet culture, not supplements, not medications, not prescriptions. I have a Eating Away Diabetes cookbook that is more than just you being able to eat away diabetes through cooking food, but understanding how to break down anti-inflammatory help, inflammation in general, diet culture, understanding your A1C, breaking down how to eat a rainbow plate, because you have to eat a rainbow plate to get all the nutrients that you need to be supporting your body and getting rid of the block. Also breaking down exactly what you need to do to eat away diabetes through foods, and breaking down the foods that help you, giving you bonus content to support you in staying in this space, and realizing that we have been misled, and breaking down the ways and the barriers that we have, doing stress management in this, because you have to understand that a lot of people emotionally eat. And so it breaks down and gives you a think section to break down your emotional ties to food. Understanding what you've been doing and how you've been misled with emotional eating, and how generations before you have been taught this, and so they haven't been taught how to heal themselves. This information is vital and key. This is life-changing information that has helped me, and it's helped many other people understand how to start supporting their body. Because if you look at the page that I have that's linked in my bio, when you go and you click on it to learn more information, I literally have at the bottom the science behind it, and breaking down the science of how they're doing research, but they're not doing enough research, because they even talk about with these systems that are over us that are supposed to regulate our food, how this is not a crisis that they can help us with, because this is something that you have to tackle and start in your own home. They cannot force you to start lowering your blood sugar and taking care of your blood sugar and lowering your insulin and balancing. They can't force you, because it'd be the same kind of riots that they were having during Prohibition, because people are addicted to sugar. Sugar literally throws off your chemical balance to make you addicted. So you have to sit here and realize it's an issue that you're going to have to start dealing with in your home. They even said it. The officials that everybody loves to refer to even said it. They cannot help you. They can put laws into place to make it where they can't keep the help from you, far as insulin and support from your doctors and surgery, etc., etc. But they cannot make you start changing your lifestyle when it comes to the foods that you eat, which they technically could by knocking off of this crap off of your shelves. But they know that there would be literal riots if they took all your favorite snacks off the shelf that have inflammatory foods, or favorite snacks off the shelf that have inflammatory foods, or put that didn't allow it. Oh, I was like, what? It gave me a notification. My Apple Watch must have turned back on. It was dying. So what questions do you guys have for me? Empower yourself in your knowledge. And if you want that Eating Away cookbook, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, the link is in my bio. I do have a special going right now. If you book a one-on-one, you do get a bonus. And with that one-on-one, and that bonus is us crafting you a grocery list and helping you be supported so you can start cooking or start shopping the way that you should be and understanding how to find replacements for yourself. As well as I do have this bonus that's also running. If you do book that one-on-one and you decide you want to get into my new program, you will have that one-on-one price knocked off the program price, and you will just pay the difference. Everything you can get with Klarna, Firma, Afterpay. So, I hit my elbow. Let me see what questions you guys have. I saw some questions in the chat. And like I said, I've said this before, but I didn't say it this live. I do answer questions at the end if they have nothing to do with what I'm talking about right then and there. I'm not ignoring people. Brown Skin Girl said, how can I stop myself from craving processed foods? So how you stop yourself from craving the terrible toxic processed foods is to get away from them. Start buying non-terrible toxic processed foods. Like, that's as simple as that. Move. You have to move, honey. You have to move. That is not going to work. So realize that if you are addicted to Oreos, for example, look at the ingredients of the Oreos. Realize what's in the Oreos. See the issue with what the inflammatory foods that they're feeding you. Realize how addictive these Oreos are. Find a non-toxic Oreo. Learn how to make it at home. There are multiple options of ways for you to be able to do it. To be able to still enjoy your favorite snack, but not poison your body. But when you're sitting here thinking that there's not going to be a replacement, there's not going to be anything the same, I'm going to hate this, etc., you're not going to be looking for anything to change. You're not going to be looking for ways to change. You're going to be looking for excuses to make yourself validated in the space that you're already in, and you're going to keep doing yourself a disservice. So that's my best tip for you to be able to get rid of processed foods, is find replacements and educate yourself in the space of how. Thank you guys for the likes. I really appreciate it. Let me see. I thought she was licking on her thing. I was like, why are you licking on this? Okay, I can't fast. I actually need to eat more often, meals in better quality. And that's probably fine. Not everybody needs to sit there and fast for days, but everybody needs to effectively fast. And fasting isn't just meaning, oh, you need to do it for 24 hours. Fasting is understanding intermittent fasting, because this gives your body's time to reset itself. When you are fasting in a space and doing it correctly, what you should be doing, because fasting is biblical, you are supposed to fast. Your body gets time to reset itself instead of worrying about digesting. So when you're sitting here eating every day, eating 3 times a day like people do and suggested to do apparently, your body is overloaded. So then it's having to constantly work and digest. It can't expel anything. So if you have parasites, if you have an overload already from your digestive tract, which majority of society does not get enough fiber, so we're overloaded. So then we sit here and we're not being supported. There is no good quality meat, and I broke that down. But if you were plant-based for years, I would suggest going back and learning how to do it from a space of overall supporting your body with a plethora of foods of natural, like I just said, of eating a rainbow plate. Because like I said, from my experience and what I have seen from people who are the healthiest, quote unquote, according to society, that eat meats, there is no good quality of meat anymore. It's all tainted. So the old studies that they had back in the day before they tainted all the meat and all this stuff is not really valid anymore. And so the gurus that are promoting that, I can't promote it. I have tried it. That's my whole point. I have tried the leanest meat, the healthiest meats. Even your grass-fed, free-range chickens and beef and all this stuff. You do realize that cows were not meant to be put in a pasture full of just grass. Cows actually eat more than just grass, wheat. What they give them is soy, wheat, and corn. They eat berries, they eat mushrooms, they eat a plethora of wild vegetation. And so we put them in a pasture and then feed them from a machine. That's stress. That's stressful, as well as the fact that that's not supporting them in their natural states. So I just can't promote it from the history that I know. That's what I'm saying, that we take a lot of like surface level information and run with it. I'm more of making connections and going deeper, way deeper than majority of people do. That whole concept of deep diving and how people label it as conspiracies. It's not a conspiracy when you actually connect all the dots and realize that the reason why they label it as a conspiracy is to get you to stop looking into it. So, what other questions do you guys have for me? What other questions do you have for me? She said, I've been thinking about going plant-based again since my diagnosis. So you were diagnosed after you went back, or you were diagnosed and then went back? What other questions do you guys have for me? While she clarifies that. And I thank each and every one of you for being here, for sticking with me, getting this live. And if you missed this live and you want the full totality, I think that's what the word is that I was looking for, the whole thing, the whole shebang, it will be posted on YouTube next week. So did you get diagnosed before or after you went back to eating meat? My dog is so mad because I'm making her keep this brace on, but I didn't put it on her yesterday. So she's going to have to keep it on a little bit longer. After you went back to eating meat. Okay, so I don't know your story exactly, but I can say that the plant-based lifestyle was not the problem for getting diagnosed with, and hold on, let me figure out how I'm gonna say this. The meat is gonna feed it. I don't know if this was something that was brewing beforehand. I don't know your lifestyle, even when you were plant-based. I don't know what you're eating, etc., etc. I don't know how long this has been brewing inside the body. But disease and illness cannot thrive in a space that is not feeding it. The same way, if you're not eating, if parasites aren't eating, they can't live. If you're not eating, you can't live. So diseases feed off of inflammation. They feed off of toxins. They feed off of irregularities. And I think I said that right. They feed off of the non-normal. Because when your normal natural body, it fixes itself. It heals itself. It allows itself to be reset. But when you have the irregularities and your body's like, well, I'm already doing all this that I can do and overcompensating, so I can't really do anything else. I guess I'm going to have to let this one thing slide. It's going to have to keep producing, because maybe then they'll switch their habits. That's how you get to the space developing cancer, having issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. So I can't necessarily just say like, oh, it caused your lupus and then start, because I don't want to attack you. But I just want us to understand that it has to have something to feed off of. And fruits and vegetables that come from the earth, natural organic fruits and vegetables that come from the earth, are not going to feed disease and illnesses. You can get protein from plant-based eating. So based off of what you just said, I can say that you probably weren't eating a rainbow plate like I promote and like I help people be able to do. Booking a one-on-one with me, or grabbing one product or service that I'll help you be able to do that has eating the rainbow in it, and understanding that will support you, because a lot of people don't understand. And a lot of people don't understand that when you eat plant-based, you have to eat a rainbow in order for you to gain all the nutrients that you need, without you sitting here worrying about, oh, I need iron, oh, I need protein, I need healthy fats. If you're eating a plethora of a variety of colors, you're getting everything that you need. Because when you look at an orange, what are we taught when you look at an orange? That's vitamin C. That's your source of vitamin C. They don't break down to you that orange has more than just vitamin C. It's going to have fiber. It's also, as we know, oranges can be too sugary. It's going to have sugar, but it's going to have natural sugar. It has natural water inside of it. So we don't break down the whole instance. All they do is tell you when you're a child, this gives you vitamin C because it has an overload of vitamin C, and it's going to give you all your vitamin C for the day. But they don't break down. You get a number of different things from you eating an orange. So can you only imagine if you eat a plethora of, just outside of a salad, but let's say you want to make a taco salad. So then now you have added in a non-grain, let's say it's a taco salad with chips, a non-grain chip. You've added in, your plant-based meats, which you can make with walnuts. You can make it, I have found a brand that's called Abbott, I think. I haven't tried their crumbled meats, but there's a different amount besides Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat, because we don't eat those. We don't eat soy. And so breaking that down, and then you add in your avocado, your salsa, you add in some, plant-based cheese. You just literally add it in, and then tomatoes, etc., with the salsa. You added in a plethora of different colors in one meal. Now you're full. Now you're sitting back and you're not like, I'm hungry in 30 minutes. But you're sitting there like, wow, that was a really good meal. The link in the bio for the rainbow plate. The rainbow plate is in my ebook of either my Eating Away cookbook, Eating a rainbow plate is also in my, it's in one more. Oh, it's in my cleansing and detoxing guide. So it's either in my eating away diabetes cookbook, or it's in my detoxing and cleansing guide. Those are the two things that you get the full breakdown of how to eat a rainbow plate in ebook form. If you book a one-on-one session with me, if you book a one-on-one session with me, we can talk about more of your situation, but I won't go through eating a rainbow plate. That is more of program content. So that is something that I teach in my program and break down more, because that's something that I would prefer to be able to cater to, rather than just have a Zoom call conversation. You write down all this information, I spit out to you in 60 minutes or less, and then you go on about your business. Like, I prefer to cater to my audience and my people who are my clients in a space of mastery, not in a space of giving you a little bit and not enough. And so I say this all the time, and people look at me and I'm like, this is how I want it to be. Y'all are so used to this culture of buy this, subscribe to this, and keep coming back. I want you to be able to get everything that you need with this one product, and you pop back in if you want to say hello. You pop back in if there's something else you want to buy into, but you don't have to, because you have everything that you need right then and there. That's how I promote my business. That's how I support people. And that's how healing should be. It shouldn't be me keeping you as a return customer unless you want to come back to learn more. But healing should be right then and there. The first thing you get, it should be able for you to be able to heal. Everything that I promote is healing products or healing. My beginner guide is not going to help you be able to heal. It's going to help you be able to understand how to make plant-based foods from a space of a starter or beginner or somebody who needs inspiration. And so that's why I say that, like, looking at the pages that I have for each product and service, it's going to break down what it's going to help you be able to do. Starting to eat a plant-based lifestyle is not going to help you completely heal your lifestyle. It's going to help you get into introduced and understanding. My Eating Away cookbook, a diabetes cookbook, is going to help you be able to eat your way into health, because it breaks down everything you need to be able to eat yourself away from disease and illness, specifically diabetes, specifically insulin resistance. So you just have to kind of, like, if you have any specific questions, but play around with looking at what I have, because I have them listed on there for a reason as their cute little names, but each product or service adds its own value, and each section you go down is a tier up. It's going to give you more information. It's going to give you more help. It's going to give you the most support, etc., etc. Oh, I love that detoxing guide. I absolutely do. And from what I hear from the people who have bought it, they love it too, because it's a complete guide. It's 7 books total in one. 6 are books. 1 is a template guide, so it's 7 in the bundle total. And it's a full cleansing guide, a full breakdown. Was eating vegan meats and realized it was the same as regular meat. Yeah, if you're eating Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat, if you're eating anything that has soy, inflammatory oils, and etc., as far as like a plant-based meat, it's going to be the same as you eating meat. And so I could see why you would flip back to going to eating meat, because you're like, well, what's the difference? But when you're eating actual, like, natural produced plant-based meats, you make them yourselves, or you find how, like, I just found a great brand that doesn't have a bunch of crap in it, that's made from a pea protein, then you'll realize that you don't have to poison yourself with a bunch of crap. Even the, like, seitan, for example, that's made from wheat, I eat it sparingly because it's made from wheat. You shouldn't be having all of this wheat. It's not a full plant-based protein, if that makes sense. So it's incomplete if you really want to think about it. Like how you think about, like, complete carbs, complete healthy fats, etc., etc. It's incomplete in my brain, because it gets me full, but after, if I eat the whole thing, it's going to make me bloated. That's not complete, because you shouldn't be bloated. If you had enough fiber, if you had enough of everything that you needed, you wouldn't be bloated after you eat. You would be full, but you wouldn't be bloated. You wouldn't be feeling like you need a nap afterwards. And so you have to just be weary of what you're doing. And that's why I said that, like, the first, like, couple of months of me being plant-based in the first year was a trial and error process. And now I'm 4 years in, going on 5, and it's a mastery space. I don't know how in the world this thing had changed the lighting, and I really am creeped out by how it changed the lighting, because I didn't even touch it. Anywho, well, I'm glad it's a motivation for you to be able to take action and transition back, because this is what I do. I am a plant-based lifestyle strategist, and I'm here to support people in understanding how to live a plant-based lifestyle. So I don't see any more questions. I'm so happy that you guys were here. I'm so thankful. Like I said, if you missed any of the past lives and you want more content, you want more inspiration, you need more help, they are posted on my YouTube, so go check those out. Go subscribe. Go follow me on my other socials as well. I don't really know what's going on with TikTok. I have not looked into the countdown of how long we have, etc., etc. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I am out. I will be offline. Like I said, I enjoy the Sabbath. So sundown today, sundown tomorrow. I will be offline. I will be back on Sunday. Either I will be live on Sunday or I will be live on Monday. We'll see if the Most High allows it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe.